What is going on, and welcome in, guys. Today we are going to be diving into the yellow set for Fullmetal Alchemist. The Fullmetal Alchemist cards are officially out. I'm so excited. Was waiting for this set. Was very sad to hear when they announced it that it was dropping in April for Japan and it wasn't going to be a simultaneous release for like worldwide like they did One Punch Man. But regardless, we didn't have to wait too long. It's finally here. It's coming out officially on July 25th, I believe, for anybody that's curious. Yeah, make sure you sign up for release events, etc. But yeah, as always, if you guys enjoy, make sure you drop a like to let me know. I always appreciate it. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into it. But yeah, diving into the yellow set for Fullmetal Alchemist, we've pretty much got two separate decks that we're going to be diving into. We've got one deck completely based around the brothers, Edward and Alphonse. Essentially, it's really cool. Equivalent exchange type vibes, essentially changing out parts of Edward for Alphonse and vice versa. It's crazy to literally play the opposite or just one of the two from your sideline. There's even like a Gateway of Truth card, and like the whole deck is essentially based around, yeah, milling into your sideline and then also playing out of your sideline. It's really cool. And then the other deck that we've got in yellow here is completely based around the people from Xing, mainly focused on Ling, and we got Greed as a raid target, but then we've got some really cool cards like Lanfan and a crazy 3 energy generating Mei. This deck looks really cool. So yeah, we'll go ahead and dive into these. And also just wanted to quickly mention, if you didn't see, I did post a video breaking down the yellow starter deck for Fullmetal Alchemist, so definitely go check that out because it does play into the brothers deck. I'm sure throughout this video we may or may not dive into some cards from this and reference them, but yeah, definitely go check it out because these are from the starter deck. Alright, and starting it off with this Edward raid card here, one of the main cards from the main set. 4 cost. During your turn, he's going to gain 500 BP. When played, you get to choose one of the following abilities. You either get to draw 2 cards and then place one from your hand into the sideline. The other ability is pretty cool. If it's your turn, you can actually play one Alphonse with 3 or less required energy and 1 action point from your sideline set to resting anywhere on your field. And if you do choose this second option, you actually have to place the raided card underneath this raid character into your sideline, leaving this Edward card on the field and essentially just making him a vanilla, so now he's not going to be a 4K on your turn. But it's still a really cool ability because you're getting to play an extra body. If you took a look at the starter deck Alphonse, just as an example, but there's another one that does some stuff too. When played with the character's ability, he's going to get to draw a card, so like there's so many benefits to doing that. And on top of that, if it's pretty early game, it's very beneficial to be raiding on top of a card, and now you're just setting this guy to active, even if he is just a 3500. But yeah, such a strong card here. He's also got the raid triggers, so if he does pop out of life, you still should use him if he's going to help you defensively, even if you're just getting a free body on the board. And you're going to be getting the draw trigger off that, essentially. So draw 2, trash 1, so that's going to be really nice. And then there's this Alphonse in the set that looks really good that you're going to want to include for sure. He's going to be a 4 cost. He's actually your color trigger, which is great for yellow. If he's in your sideline and if you have the Gateway of Truth on your field, he's actually going to be a 3 cost in your sideline, so you're able to target him with that Edward. But yeah, he's a nullify impactor, and then when played, you actually have the option to pay 1 extra action point to choose one of the abilities listed below. And then if you actually play him with a character ability, like that rated Edward, then you actually get to choose both of the abilities, all at the cost of 1 action point. So this card is so nice, especially if you get that Gateway of Truth set up. But yeah, so when played, you can either and or choose up to one of your opponent's characters on the front line, switch it to resting, and then the other option, switch this character to active. So even without the Gateway of Truth, it could be really nice to just play this card from your hand, maybe pay 1 extra action point to set him to active and sort of just play into the rush mentality if you have the bodies on the board. But overall, yeah, if you can get him down to a 3 cost required, play him air quotes for free with the Edward raid ability that we were just going over, and then if you have 1 more action point on top of all that to use both of those abilities when he's played from your sideline, he's going to be really nice. And then again, he's a 4K nullify impact. This guy's just a monster. This guy's really strong. And then yeah, it's going to be really nice in this deck, your opponent sidelining your cards and you having effects where you're playing from the sideline constantly, so when you're losing cards, it doesn't really feel that bad, you know. So on top of that, if your opponent has abilities where they're straight up removing your cards from the game, you're not going to be able to play those cards again. So those abilities are going to be kind of going up in value for sure, at least against this deck. And then if you don't know, for yellow, easily the best color trigger in the game. You can target any character on your opponent's front line, and they will you get to switch them to resting, and they will remain set to resting the next time they switch to active. Just an amazing defensive card. If it pops out of life, easily the best color trigger, like I said. And then just quickly going through the Edwards in the set here, we do have the generic add to hand trigger, 0 cost, that you also have the alt art of in the starter deck. And then we've got a 1 cost Edward. This one's pretty nice. He just doesn't have a trigger, but when played, you get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal 1 Edward, Alphonse, or Gateway of Truth card, add it to your hand, and then if you did take a card, sideline a card from your hand. What's really nice about this specific search, which you'll see in every deck, which usually sucks having to sideline a card, but what's nice about this deck, obviously, is since we're playing off of the sideline, you might literally take advantage of the fact that you're sidelining with this guy's ability. Who knows? But either way, any ways for us to get to this Gateway of Truth faster, or just find the Alphonses or the Raid Edwards or whatever, just a really nice card to have for sure. And then we've got a 2 cost Edward, step ability. If you have the Gateway of Truth on the field, he's actually going to be a 3,500, and he does have a draw trigger too. So yeah, pretty nice card, especially for a simple 2 cost. Great card to have in your deck just floating around. And then for Alphonse, we've got a 3 cost to nullify impact, active defensive 3k trigger with 3,500 BP. You're going to see a lot of these active 3k triggers, and if they stack up in your life and you see them often, you're gonna have a great game. And I almost feel like that's sort of what this deck is more or less playing for, is since you don't have a ton of removal and you have pretty late game impact and not a ton of it, having like a pretty defensive life in this case is going to be really nice. So yeah, having a ton of these stacked up, hopefully we see them often. Then we've got an Alphonse, 0 cost, when played, draw a card, trash a card, and then he's got the draw trigger. Yeah, pretty good card to have in your deck for sure. Again, with the sideline ability, we're going to take advantage of that, or we don't mind it. So, and then this is a starter deck alt, but fantastic card to have in the deck. You definitely want this, especially for late game with those starter deck impact Edwards. It could be a huge game changer. So yeah, 1 cost Alphonse, active main, switch this card to resting and sideline this card, and then you get to place 1 Edward card without raid from your sideline face up underneath a non-rated Edward with raid on your front line, and then if you do, you switch that character to active. So the main part of this is definitely the fact that you can give back your Edwards 4k or impact or whatever it may be, but on top of that, if you do have to like hard play a raid card and you don't have a raid source on the board, you can essentially turn him into an active card with this, which is pretty cool. Just keep in mind you got to have this card set up early because you got to rest him to do it. And also something that they did clarify in this, if you do have like the when played Edward raid card, you are not going to trigger his when played raid ability, obviously, but I am curious, since we're playing a card technically from our sideline underneath a card, if like, let's say we played this Edward with that ability, would we get this when played? It does not clarify. I'm very curious. Let me know in the comments. Great card. You definitely want 4 of this guy, at least 3, but I don't see why you wouldn't just run 4 as your 1 cost. Then he's got the active trigger, 2,500. Yeah, just a great card to have sitting on your bench until the last minute when you really need him. And then taking a look at the Gateway of Truth here, very curious how many of this card people are going to be running. I feel like because of the add to hand trigger and how much like deck filtering and searching we're going to be doing, I feel like 2 is going to be a great number for this because you don't want to see too many of them. But regardless, it is a great card, especially if you are including the cards that get benefits from the Gateway of Truth. Definitely recommend having this in the deck for sure, at least 1 or 2. Again, with the add to hand trigger, it's going to be great to have a small amount of them and still see them pretty often if they pop up in life. But regardless, let's take a look at the card here. 3 cost, Gateway of Truth. So this site cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities. Fair enough. First sight ever that cannot be touched. When played, if Edward or Alphonse is on your field, draw 2 cards and then place 2 cards from your hand into the sideline. Again, great ability for us because we like to play off the sideline. We don't mind that. And then active main, switch to resting. You have the option to place 1 card from your life into your sideline. If you do, you get to look at the top 6 cards of your deck, reveal any character among them, add it to your hand, and then place the rest on the bottom of your deck. And it's a double generator, so it is a great card to just have on the bench with the when played, and now you've got that set up for your other card abilities. As far as the active main ability, I mean, that's going to be totally up to you guys and how your games are going. If you're early enough in the game and you're ahead of your opponent, and yeah, with how this deck is sort of like pressuring and board flooding, there might be opportunities where you go down 1 life just to get that extra body on the board or something. It could be worth it. But yeah, in general, man, placing a life, especially into your sideline, like at least with, I believe it was the One Punch Man decks, you had the option to place the cards into your hand, so it felt like a mini draw. This is crazy, but you are searching for a character, so it could be a game changer, could be huge. And then we've got an event card here, 3 cost auto mail. Choose one character on your field. It'll gain 2k BP till the end of the turn. And then if you choose an Edward with this card, you can either give it 1 impact or damage 2 until the end of the turn as well. Could be a great card to have. Keep in mind it does not say +1 impact, so if you choose your Edward that already has impact, it is not going to be able to stack that. But having impact 1 and damage 2 is a great combo to sort of pressure your opponent. Also having impact outside of just your starter deck raid Edward's going to be nice. I believe that's your only place really having impact in this deck. So that could be nice as well. The only downfall with this card really is there's so many good event cards for the Brothers deck right now. It looks like you have a lot of options, and this is definitely one of them. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to put too many event cards in your deck, considering you're going to have 4 finals, 4 specials. You're probably going to run 2 sites. That's 10 cards in your deck that are not characters. Keep that in mind, because you don't want to brick. You want to be able to have cards to push up and block with and stuff. I mean, you've seen the effects. A lot of this deck is playing off of playing Edwards and Alphonses and stuff, so you do want the bodies. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind with this deck. There's also some other really good event cards, so I'm curious if Auto Mail is even going to have a slot in these decks, because as you'll see with the starter deck, there's a really good event card, and then there's another one that we're still going to dive into. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Don't put too many event cards in your decks, because you will regret it. You will. But regardless, Auto Mail looks like a great card, especially because there it is. It's got the active defensive 3k trigger. If we get a full deck of those, our opponent is going to hate us. But yeah, there's this other event card that looks really, really strong. 3 cost. Why do I have to choose? Choose one of the abilities listed below. But if Alphonse is on your field, you get to choose all of them. And it's a pretty good card. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Place any of them on the top, and then place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck. And then you get to draw 2 cards. It also has the draw trigger, so I guess I wouldn't put this above Auto Mail too much. But again, being able to look at the top 3, draw great cards right away with this, 2 of them, or bottom deck them, draw into good cards because you were about to draw. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, this is a pretty damn good looking card. So just don't put too many event cards in your deck if you're trying to include all of those. Also, if you didn't see the starter deck breakdown, there is just this one event card I want to mention while we're on the topic, because this is the one that I think looks amazing. Even though it doesn't have a trigger, you definitely want at least 2 of these, no question. I think I'm going to try to put in 3. 4 might be a bit much of really any event card that's not a special or a final, but this card looks so good. 2 costs, let's go home. Add up to 1 Edward or Alphonse from your sideline to your hand, and then you get to play 1 Edward or Alphonse with the fulfilled required energy from your hand set to resting, or you can raid with it. So yeah, you can literally revive a raid, basically re-raid an Edward with this, which is really, really cool. Or get the when played effect abilities off with your Alphonses. So yeah, again, so many good event cards you can put in this deck. Don't ruin it by having half a deck of event cards and then you just keep bricking. And then if you don't know, the special for the Brothers deck is going to be Fullmetal Alchemist, generic but very good special that you'll see in a lot of sets. 4 costs, choose up to 1 character with 3k or less on your opponent's front line and sideline it. But if you have Edward on your field, you can choose up character with 5k or less BP. Special trigger, obviously. Great removal, just nothing new, nothing special. And then a few other cards that are intended to go into the Brothers deck. I will admit, with how many different Alphonses and Edwards we have and how they're playing off of like each other's abilities and trying to play each other out of the sideline and stuff, I'm curious how many non-Edward and Alphonse characters you're going to want to include, especially because you don't need to include them. But regardless, there are options. So there is this 4-cost Izumi. During your turn, she's going to gain 500 BP, making her a 4k. And then active main, if on the front line, you can trash 1 card from your hand once per turn, and then you can set 1 Edward or Alphonse active on your field. Not a bad ability. Again, yellow's playing into this board flood, board rush mentality, so not a bad ability to have, considering she's sort of helping with that, setting cards to active that are just rested. Then we've got a 1-cost Von Hohenheim. He's just going to be the generic when played, return 1 character on your field to your hand, or you got to return him, but he's a double energy generator. Not a terrible card, but we just don't need him in this at all. 0-cost Winry. When played, you could choose a character on your field that'll gain 1k till the end of the turn. She's got a draw trigger. Not a terrible 0-cost to just have floating around, but again, do we really need her, considering we can have Alphonse and Edwards? But not terrible, I guess. This is a pretty good looking card. Again, I would like to find room for her, because of all the Edwards and Alphonses we have, but regardless, this is a pretty nice looking card. 2-cost Winry. If Edward is on your front line, this character is going to count as a double energy generator, and then active main, switch this card to resting, and you could actually give a character 500 till the end of the turn. So not a bad looking card, especially for a double energy generator with, again, the active trigger. So she's got a lot going for her, minus the fact that we can't revive her with Edward or Alphonse. But regardless, not a bad looking card at all. And then that pretty much does it for the cards that are intended to go into the Brothers deck. We obviously have the equivalent exchange final restand card that you'll put in either deck, but it's got Edward, so there you go. But yeah, so that is that. Now diving into the Xing deck. This deck looks really, really cool. Again, completely based around Ling, Greed, Lanfan. Like, this deck looks so cool. There's even this Scar card that you can slap in there. It's got crazy energy generation and pretty good removal and abilities with it. So yeah, starting it off with this Greed raid card though, you're going to want to grade him on top of your Lings, obviously. He's going to be a 6-cost. He's going to be a 5k when he's rated. When played, this character gains, your opponent must block this character's attacks if able until the end of the turn. Great card to have just for like simple removal. And what's nice about him is, well, it's nice to have Snipe Impact. Forcing your opponent to block and have removal with that and not take a life sometimes is sort of nice, because hitting a special with those can be so annoying. If you know, you know. Regardless, he's also got a when sidelined ability. You may place one card from your hand into the sideline. If you do, play up to one Ling card with 4 or less required energy, 1 action point from your sideline set to resting on your field. And then yeah, he's got the raid trigger, so you can play him out of life if you want. Obviously, you'd probably want to save him unless you really need to live, but in general, yeah, you probably want to save him for that one played force block ability. Also, it does confirm down here that with your when sidelined ability here, when you're choosing a Ling, you do have the option to choose the raid target underneath the current Greed raid card. So the card underneath him will count as in the sideline when this ability pops, essentially. So that's pretty nice to know. That is confirmed. And then taking a look at the Ling cards here, this card looks pretty nice. This is going to be the color trigger for this deck here. A 4-cost. This character gains all the abilities listed below if you have the required energy generation, which will not be a problem in this deck, trust me. So if you have 6 or more when played, you get to draw up to 1 card. And then if you have 7 or more when attacking, choose one other Xing affinity character on your field. It gains this character cannot be blocked by your opponent's characters with 4k or more until the end of the turn. So yeah, great ability to have for multiple situations, but in general, just so nice for if your opponent only has 4,000 or higher and they're low on life. Now you're getting free attacks in that they have no choice but to just take. And then the active triggers pretty much are useless against abilities like this. So yeah, really, really nice ability to have, especially because Lanfan over here real quick, we'll take a look at her SR. She also has the ability where she can be blocked herself by 4Ks or more. So you can have multiple attackers, up to 3 characters sometimes, where your opponent just cannot block the attacks. Could be a great ender for a game. But yeah, the Lanfan real quick, if this character gains all the abilities listed below, if you have the required energy, 5 or more energy, this character gains 500, so making her 3,500. 6 or more energy, that's when she cannot be blocked by characters with 4,000 or more. And then 7 or more, she gains a when played, you can pay an extra action point, and if you do, you switch this character to active. Also, if I didn't mention it, she's a 2-cost 1 action point. Such a nice looking card. So yeah, if you have 7 or more energy, you play a 35, set to active, 2 action point cost, and then she can't be blocked by 4Ks. Add to hand trigger too, so if she ends up in life, she goes to your hand. Yeah, this is going to be a fun deck. So yeah, really, really cool setup that you can get going here. We've also got a really nice looking Ling card that doesn't have a trigger, but you want to include for sure, considering how good your 2 costs are. So when played, you can play one other yellow character with 2 or less required energy, 1 action point, and the Xing affinity, which is your whole deck, set to resting on your field. So yeah, you can literally use his ability to play her for free, air quotes, and then use that 1 action point ability to set her active. And then you're just doing all that for just 2 total action points. So yeah, really, really nice setups that you can do here. Valid no trigger on these free body plays. And then he's a 3k as well, but yeah. Anyways, and then we also got a 0-cost Ling active trigger here, 2k. So yeah, obviously, good card to have, no question, especially because you want Lings to raid on top of with Greed. And then there is one other Lanfon card here. She's just going to be our Searcher. 1 cost, when played, look at the top 4 cards, reveal any Xing affinity card, add it to your hand, place the rest on the bottom, and if you did take a card, sideline a card. She's got a draw trigger though, so amazing card to have, no question. And then taking a look at the insane energy generator that we got for this set, 3 cost May. So she's a raid card, and then when you raid her, this character gains energy generation, making her a 3 energy generator. You could also just straight up play her as a double energy generator though, which is really nice. She's also got a when played, if on the energy line, draw a card. And for anyone wondering, it does confirm down here that if you raid her on the energy line and push her up, that does count as playing her on the front line and you won't get that draw effect. So just a heads up for that. In general though, you're raiding her and leaving her back there for the energy, right? She's got the add to hand triggers, so even though she is a raid, you cannot play her out of life. That would be pretty nuts, getting free bodies off of that. So valid. But yeah, she's a 3 energy generator. On top of that, she is the double energy generator for the yellow set. You'll see this in every set of Union Arena. But her being this card, so we can raid on top of this one, is so nice. So yeah, 2 cost May. If she's active, she'll count as 2. So she's just going to be the energy for the deck. So nice. You definitely want to include this. One other May that they've included is the add to hand trigger, just because she is a raid. So if we are not getting our Mays or they end up in life, we at least get this one into our hand with that trigger. So yeah, great 0 cost to include for sure. This deck is looking really nice. They got it ready to go. And then Old Man Fu here, a great addition. He's a 3 cost during your turn. If you're generating 7 or more energy, he's going to gain 1,000, making him a 4K. He's also got the active trigger, and he's a double energy generator, so he's doing a little bit of everything. Offense, defense, energy generation. I guess not really defense, but active trigger, defense. Anyways, yeah, great card to include for sure. He's going to be the cherry on top for our energy generation. And then we've got a 0 cost Xiao, the little panda. You definitely want to include this card. I mean, I don't know, it's gonna suck bottom decking cards trying to find a May, but regardless, it could be nice finding those energy generators with this. And it's only a top 3, which is nice too. Regardless, when played, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal 1 May card. If you did find one and added it to your hand, sideline a card, place the rest at the bottom. It's a draw trigger too, so yeah, it's a 0 cost. You should definitely include a few of them because you need zeros in general. So seeing cards with search abilities like this on 0 cost is so nice, because debating wanting to throw them in when they're like a 1 or a 2 when there's so many other options versus zeros, which are absolutely mandatory, it's nice having like pretty good zeros. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Searchability on the 0. It would just be nice if they were optional. Like, I wish I could play this without having to search if I know I didn't want to bottom deck what was next. And then, while this card is not a Xing affinity card, he does play into the 7 or more energy generation, so you probably want to include him in this deck if you're going to use him. 5 cost, 2 action point Scar. You can play this card set to active. When played, you choose 1 character on your opponent's front line, switch it to resting, and then if you are generating 7 or more energy when you play this card, he's going to gain 1,000 BP, making him a 5k with impact till the end of the turn. Also, when attacking, a little salt in the wound, especially if you're up against the Edward and Alphonse deck, you can place 2 cards from their sideline into the bottom of their deck in any order. But yeah, active trigger as well. Pretty good card. Again, you're only generating 7 more than likely in the Xing deck, so just keep that in mind if you're going to use him. That's probably where you want to include him. But a great little like end game finisher for sure. And then the special for the Xing deck is going to be Travelers from Xing. 4 cost, choose 1 character on your opponent's front line with BP equal to or less than 1,000 multiplied by the number of Xing affinity cards on your field and sideline it. So yeah, generally, I mean, you need essentially... I mean, I guess you're probably generating 4 with 2 bodies in this deck, but in general, you should be able to sideline 4 and 5Ks pretty frequently with this card, no problem. And then some other cards to mention real quick. 1 cost Yoki during your opponent's turn. If on the front line, characters on your field other than Yoki gain, your opponent cannot choose this character with an ability on an event card unless they place 1 card from their hand into the sideline as an additional cost. And this ability does not stack for obvious reasons. So yeah, no trigger, 2k BP. I mean, he's a good card, especially because he's protecting your entire field, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, in general, you're just kind of forcing your opponents to either want to focus him or just have to pay an additional cost and make it harder to get rid of your cards. Could be a good ability, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. But having the no trigger sucks. Just give him a draw trigger, changes everything, I feel like. Anyways, 0 cost Trisha, but I guess it balances it, right? I guess it balances it. 0 cost, Trisha Elric, active main switch to resting. This character will count as 2 energy till the end of the turn, and then you have to sideline the character. Generic card you'll see in every set, not terrible, but I don't think really required for either of these decks, so don't really need to include her. And then 3 cost, Marco. This is the card that'll cost 1 less if you're up against a blue or a purple deck, making him a 2 cost double energy generator. No trigger, so again, like not having a trigger on any of these makes these cards very not appealing in my opinion. They're, again, generic cards that you'll see in most sets. Maybe not Yoki, this is pretty unique. But yeah, so I would say not really required with the cards that we do have. But they do exist. And that is going to do it for the yellow Fullmetal Alchemist breakdown. I can't believe we are getting a Fullmetal Alchemist card game in 2025, guys. This is this is so crazy to me. I love it, man. But here we are, Fullmetal Alchemist. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, like I said, drop a like if you guys didn't already. I appreciate you guys getting this far and just watching the video in general. If you guys are excited about the set, let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you think these are going to be pretty good decks. Let me know how you think they're going to be performing. Also, there are some starter deck exclusive cards if you are curious, so definitely go check that video out if you want to get some more info on them. And then, yeah, this was the first of the color breakdowns, so I will have 2 other videos breaking down the other 2 colors up very soon. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace!